Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City. Today I'm going to do a review of the Lego Movie 2. Do not worry, there'll be no spoilers, although I have to say that Scooby-Doo died and Shaggy's looking for a new dog. In a separate video, I'll discuss how the Lego Movie 2 toy sets match up with the builds depicted in the movie. Are there significant differences, and are the sets movie accurate? I'll also have a look at sets that are not currently released, but maybe there's a potential for them to be released, and I'll also discuss certain sets which are shown in the movie but I don't think will be released. So let's get started. The Lego Movie 2 is a direct sequel to the first Lego movie. In fact, this movie starts off where the first movie ended. I do highly recommend you watch the first movie before watching this one. It's not so much integral to the plot, but you definitely appreciate the characters better, you have an idea of what transpired before, and you definitely appreciate all the callbacks, cameos, and little bits of business if you watch the first movie first, because they do go by very quickly. As a sequel, I think this holds up. It is really entertaining. As you know, sequels often have a hard time meeting up to expectations of the first movie, especially if the first movie was great and the original Lego movie was great. But I think this manages to keep with those expectations. I won't say it's as good as the first movie because that was really fresh and original, and I think most of us didn't know what to expect. But this one definitely holds its own. It's a good sequel. They managed to tell a different story, but everything that you liked about the first movie still remains. I'm talking about the witty script, breaking of the fourth wall, and all those different pop cultural references. So all that is still intact. I would say that the song they've been trying to get into our head just doesn't work for me. It's nothing like Everything Is Awesome. As you know, that song was just so catchy. I think it got in everyone's head, and it wasn't by design, or at least they didn't think it would be so effective, but everyone who watched that first movie was going, everything is awesome. They didn't know the lyrics to the rest of the song, but they could say everything is awesome. This new song, it's called the catchy song, and in parenthesis, it's the song that's gonna get stuck in your head, but doesn't do anything for me. In fact, on the Lego YouTube channel, they've got a 10-hour loop of this song, hopefully to get it in your head, but it just doesn't work. I think the title is too convoluted. For some reason, I think it's not catchy enough, even though it's called the catchy song, and I think they're trying too hard to get it stuck in our head, and that's why I didn't think it worked. There are different versions of Everything Is Awesome that comes out in this movie, which I was really happy about, and I suspect many people are happy about it as well. Two things that really impressed me about the first Lego movie are carried over to the sequel, and the first is the use of Lego parts. In all aspects of the movie, that means the main characters, the props they hold, and all the background elements, they're all using Lego parts to create. And that's the same with the first Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, but not Ninjago, which disappointed me. However, for this movie, you can see the parts in every frame and in every scene. Even special effects such as, let's say, dust or smoke being created are all created using Lego parts. And they use an almost amateurish stop motion just to showcase that fact, and I like that a lot. When buildings explode, they explode into brick pieces. When glass shatters, they become glass panels or glass tiles or cheese wedge pieces. And if you're an AFOL, a mock designer, or just someone who likes to build Lego sets, you really appreciate this. One other thing is, when they build stuff from random parts, you'd see the part number in the kind of a subtitle for each of the parts as they're building them, and that's pretty cool as well. The second thing that impressed me with the first movie was how they blended the Lego world that was set in the movie with the real world. And of course, that's a big payoff in the first movie. In the second movie, in order to advance the plot, there's more blending in of the real world to the Lego world. And I think it still worked quite well. It was much more than the first movie, but if you watch it, you understand why it's necessary for the plot, and it also justifies why there are certain builds or scenes or worlds that you see in the movie or the Lego world. In terms of themes and messaging, this movie is more layered than the first one, but it's still got a lot of heart. If you think of any of the great animated movies like Toy Story, a heartfelt message or theme is always the central core of the movie, and this is no different. The first movie had the central theme of everyone is special in their own unique way. This one is a bit more layered and there's some very grown-up themes, but it's still pretty good. My favorite character in the movie is Lego Batman. I like Will Arnett, and I like the character he created for Lego Batman. It's like a comedic version of a Christian Bale-inspired Batman. And it's the juxtaposition which probably is what appeals to me. In the real comic book world, Batman is badass, he's broody, he's just fierce and very capable. And here we have a very arrogant Batman who's full of himself, and it just works. He's a supporting cast in the movie, but it works really well. And he's obviously the best character from the first Lego movie. After all, he's the only one who got his own spin-off movie. Probably the only thing that I don't like about the movie is that a large portion of it is set in space. I generally prefer if the location is grounded in reality or is a reflection of reality, such as the first part of the movie. The thing is, when it's set in space, the producers, directors and creators can get creative and basically come up with anything, any kind of alien, any kind of space planet or vehicles. And this is reflected in the Lego movie toy sets. So it's just not for me. I understand why they do it. They want to expand the universe, just like the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With a lot of the superhero movies, they start off on Earth, but then they expand it to space and the cosmos just to expand the universe. So I get why they did it, but it just doesn't appeal to me. In terms of box office, I expect this movie to do well enough to warrant a third sequel. According to Box Office Mojo, analysts expect this movie to open between $50 to $55 million in the US. The first Lego movie opened at $67 million and went on to gross $460 million worldwide. Now, if you count in marketing and promotion, which is usually double of production costs, it still made a lot of money. And of course, the movie was basically a commercial for Lego toys, and they made a ton of money off the toys. What's interesting is that the first Lego movie did not have a theatrical release in China. And currently, in terms of worldwide box office takings, China leads the markets, and now often more than the US. And that's why there are certain movies that do really well in China, even if they don't do well in the US, but they still make a ton of money, and there are sequels. Just last year, we would have Jurassic World, Venom, The Meg. All these didn't do that well in the US, but they did great in China. So for the Lego Movie 1, the fact that they didn't open in China and they still made $460 million worldwide is pretty good. I'm not sure if the second movie is going to open in China. If they do, I'm sure that's not going to hurt the bottom line, it's only going to add. But it'll be interesting if they do, because the reason why the first Lego movie didn't open in China is simply because China has a quota on the foreign films that they allowed to be released, and Lego Movie didn't make the cut. So even if the Lego Movie 2 does make the cut, I'm not sure how well received it will be by the China audience. I'm not sure how strong the Lego brand is. I'm sure people are aware of the toy, but I'm not sure if there's that brand loyalty, and since they didn't watch the first movie, this may not be an existing property that they know. So it'll be interesting to see. In any case, I do expect the Lego Movie 2 to do well, but I'm not so sure about the toy line for this wave. I suspect it will not sell as well as the first Lego movie, especially if you think about it from a point of view of a custom Lego city builder, which is what this channel is about. A lot of the sets just didn't appeal to me, and I think that's the general consensus I got based on comments from subscribers. The sets just aren't as attractive this time, but who knows, maybe we'll get a whole bunch of discounted sets by the end of the year. The Lego Movie 2 is definitely worth watching, it's highly entertaining, and I recommend it whether or not you are a Lego fan or not. But here's a tip: if you're an adult and you want to watch this as a grown-up animated movie, go to a late screening to avoid all the young small kids. And do stay to the end to watch the credits. I think that's one of the best parts of the movie, especially the first movie, because the way they do the credits are really creative, and they of course use Lego parts to showcase the credits. So, have you watched the Lego Movie 2? If you have, let me know what you liked about it or what you didn't like about it, but no spoilers please. Did that song get stuck in your head? And if you haven't watched it, are you going to watch it? If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to look out for the next video coming up soon, where I'm going to discuss the different Lego Movie toy sets and how they match up to the builds in the movie. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.